So welcome, nice to see you. If you have any questions. Hello, Randa. You ask, does pure awareness project the apparent reality? If so, the doer is not awareness. Well, let's first look at the first question. Does pure awareness project the apparent reality? Oh, Rhonda, in your question, if you look at your question, what you wrote, does pure awareness project the apparent reality? An apparent reality, anything that appears, Rhonda, you cannot refer to it as real, because whatever appears, it appears to something, to the perceiver or whatever perceives it. Whatever appears has a beginning. And for example, it's not appearing, like a thought is not appearing, and then whoop, suddenly the thought appears. It sort of comes on board. And at some point, it disappears. So whatever appears, disappears. And so to speak of, to use the term appearing and reality together, it doesn't jive, it doesn't compute. So reality does not appear, nor does it disappear. That's why we refer to reality as the eternity and the infinity of the self, the reality and infinity of consciousness. So in your question, does pure awareness, I'm talking about the images. Does pure awareness project the images? Okay, so does pure awareness project the images? So there is one reality, there is one light, which is the light of awareness, or consciousness, or God, or presence, or beingness. That's the key thing to understand, that there is one reality. And what appears can only refer to the reality out of which it appears and as which it appears. Because there could not be something not reality, not real, arising out of reality. In other words, there cannot be something not real arising out of what is real. Only something real can arise out of reality. So when you refer to images, you can refer to them as being that reality, that very reality that is morphing, appearing as an image. That would be a step in the right direction in your understanding. It is not the full understanding, but it's a step in the right direction. That everything that you perceive, its substance, is the reality out of which it appears, and it's that same reality that perceives it. This is why we say the self, meaning the reality of consciousness, conceives, creates, perceives, and annihilates. It creates, it experiences its creativity, it celebrates its creativity, it perceives its creativity, it enjoys its creativity, and it dissolves it. This is also an understanding, a way of wording it, that is closer, it's a step in the right direction. The ultimate understanding is the silent understanding, that whereby images no longer arise as we talk about them. It's really not possible to express in words that understanding. You can only grasp it in your inner silence, in your inner understanding. So Randa, you write, yes, but what appears keeps changing, so like a night dream, can we say it is real? Well, it depends, Randa. When you say, is it real? A good example is the night dream. In your night dream, if you perceive a pink flying elephant, could you say that the pink flying elephant is real? Because a moment later, it's a yellow butterfly. Where is the pink flying elephant? What is real? The reality does not come and go, does not change. So when we say reality, we're referring to the changeless, to the eternal, to that is not a form, the invisible infinite, the wholeness of being. That, the reality that perceives. In ignorance, in our confusion, in our separation from God, we believe the image is real. We believe the object is real. We believe there is an oak tree in the yard. But when we contemplate what is our experience of the oak tree in the yard, we find that our experience of the oak tree is simply our experience of our experience. We are experiencing our experience. We are experiencing our mind, our own inner image. We're not actually experiencing an external reality, such as an external oak tree out there. We perceive our perception. We sense our sensation. Our perception is intimate with that perceives it. They are at zero distance. So, no, I would not say that what you perceive or your night dreams are real. I would say they're amusing, they're interesting, it's colorful, fun, hopefully pleasant and peaceful and enjoyable. But it's only possible to celebrate the dream, the waking dream, and your night dreams as the divine self, not as a separate being. As a separate being, you will only experience the sense of separation. And because of the sense of separation, you will also experience the desire. The desire, there's only one desire, which is the desire for happiness, for wholeness, for unicity, for peace, for the bliss of the self. There's only one desire. And so you experience a sense of lack, a sense of incompleteness, and a sense of desire as a person. And that sense of desire and that turbulence leads you into the inquiry, hopefully sooner rather than later. Randa, you're right. Would you say, similar to the night dream, upon waking up, there was no doer? Is there a doer in the waking state? Well, let's first look at the night dream. Let's say that in your night dream, you dream that there are 4 people who are playing volleyball. You may actually be one of them, or you're just sitting on a bench watching 4 people playing volleyball. That's in your night dream. And you ask yourself, who is the doer? There are 4 people. Are they the ones who are hitting the volleyball? You're sitting on the bench in your night dream watching those 4 people play volleyball, and it seems very clear to you that when Mary hits the volleyball, that it is Mary who is hitting the volleyball. You're very sure of that. You may be sitting with a friend and you may tell your friend, wow, I really love the way Mary plays volleyball. She's a good player. She knows how to play. But when you contemplate your night dream, you realize that in fact, it is not the character in the night dream that is hitting the volleyball. Because in fact, there is no volleyball and there is no Mary, there are no actual players. It's just your night dream. And the doer is you, the dreamer. Whoever is dreaming this dream, everything that's arising in the night dream is arising out of the doer. And it is the doer, meaning the dreamer, the person who is sleeping, that is watching this dream. This metaphor refers to the dreamer being consciousness. So in the night dream, the metaphor is the metaphor of all events that appear in the dream, their reality, and the doer, if you want to use that term, or the creator of all the night dream events, is the dreamer of the dreams. You following? Similarly, in the waking state, using the metaphor of the night dream, in the waking state, you are a character in the waking state. And your name is Randa, and you have a father, mother, friends, etc. You're engaging in the night dream, in the waking dream. Now, it seems that the doer is Randa, or such and such a person, other people, that there are individual personal doers. That's from the perspective of the character in the waking state. But from the perspective of consciousness, it is consciousness that is doing all those doings. It's not Randa, it's not Magdi, it's not Joe, it's not Jim, it's not Mary. It is consciousness that is doing all of these deeds. So there is one doer, and it's not the character, whether it is the dream character, not the night dream character, or the waking state character. These both of these are states. The night dream is the state of mind, and the waking state, which sometimes I refer to it as the waking dream, is also a state of mind. In the night dream state of mind, the reality of the night dream is the dreamer, meaning consciousness. In the waking state, the doer, the creator, the reality of all these appearances and deeds is consciousness. It's beyond the state. The reality of the state, of a mind state, is beyond the state. Rhonda, you ask, is it, I guess maybe you mean, is consciousness doing or projecting images? Well, there is a relative answer and an absolute answer to your question. The relative answer to your question is yes. Consciousness is doing all these images, creating them and projecting them, and perceiving them and deleting them. That's the relative answer to your question. From the absolute level, from the absolute understanding, consciousness does nothing. It is beyond doing and not doing. It's beyond that realm, beyond the mind realm. You know how in Christianity they say God created the world in 6 days, on the 7 days he rested, or she rested. That's just a metaphor. God doesn't do anything, doesn't need days or to create or not create or rest on the seventh day. From the absolute perspective, nothing is being done. There's just the shining light of being. And the experience, the experience of the absolute is the experience of radiance, of peace, that is beyond the mind, beyond any of the objective realm. It is the absolute realm of bliss and peace and happiness. Okay, Randa, you're right. Thank you. You answered my question. Pure awareness is not a doer. Yes, yes. Okay, Randa. Yes, thank you for your question, Randa. Hello, Nilam. Yes, nice to see you, Nilam. Welcome. Welcome. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them live or to write them in the chat box. But before we go to the next question, I wanted to address Zoe's question. So I'm going to read it. Zoe wrote to me, "Hi, Mehdi. I don't know if I will be able to attend today, but I will watch later for your response. My question has to do with resonating with a spiritual group and feeling grateful for what I've learned and now stepping back from involvement in that group. It seems to me that the group is interested in keeping the position of seeker student alive by prescribing a set pattern of courses to take. And you have spoken before about there is no hierarchy in intimacy and how teacher dissolved the teacher-student relationship. Yes, the teacher dissolved the student-teacher relationship. I would love to hear you elaborate on that a little more. Thank you." Yes, Zoe, thank you for your question. You know, in a spiritual group, I am going to make a distinction, Zoe, between a spiritual group or a group of friends who get together around their spiritual interest, and the Sangha. The Sangha is a group of truth lovers who are around a teacher and around a teaching. You know, in Buddhism, they speak of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. The Buddha being the teacher, the Dharma being the teaching, and the Sangha being the community of truth lovers around the teacher and around the teaching. And that these three dimensions are important in the spiritual journey. In the spiritual journey, it is important to have the light, the living wisdom, the living wisdom. And God is this living wisdom. The self is this living wisdom. There is only one true wisdom. There is only one wisdom, which is the wisdom of the self. And the wisdom of the self radiates infinitely. But due to identification, we fail to experience it. And therefore, in the spiritual journey, there are teachers that appear. There are friends, there are people that appear in your life. They appear in your life when you're a truth lover, when you have a passion for truth. And a teacher appears. And the teacher comes with the wisdom of the self. The teacher is just a form, the self taking a form of a friend. And the wisdom of the self is spoken through them. So you have the Buddha and the Dharma in one. And around the Buddha and the Dharma, around the teacher and the teaching, there are certain people who gravitate, who come together around, like around the fire. You sit around the fire and you warm yourself and you enjoy the fire. You enjoy the heat, you enjoy the light, you enjoy the sounds of the fire. You enjoy the beauty. And the contemplation, because when you're sitting on the fire, you find yourself contemplating love and beauty and peace and harmony. So the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha are the true, because you use the term group, I'm going to use the term group, but it's not really, it's the teaching, it's the spiritual journey. So the heart of the teaching is the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Now, there are spiritual groups who are friends, people who are interested in spirituality, but not having the living teaching that in which their me tendencies dissolve. When they get together, it's very easy for them to slip into me, into the me qualities, the feelings, the competition, the judgments, the subtle manipulations, wanting to control or seeking agreement or seeking fellowship, seeking people to join that group, to have a larger group. A true teacher has no interest whatsoever in that. It's too drunk with the love of God to be troubled with that. So, as your contemplation deepens, you can no longer find any joy in gatherings that don't take you into deeper and deeper into the self. You know, your tolerance for the dynamics, the human dynamics in a spiritual circle no longer interests you, or it interests you less and less. And you become a sort of a hound that is only sniffing the scent of their master, the scent of their home, the scent of their family. You no longer are interested in other scents. You find yourself going in the direction that helps you to bloom and to grow and to get more and more into the celebration of the understanding and the living the understanding. So groups that want something out of you, or want you to behave in a certain way, or want you to follow certain practices, I would just not trouble myself with that at all. Now, if those practices resonate for you, then you're going to do it anyways, whether the group tells you to do it or not. You don't care. You're just going to do those practices because they speak to your heart. So follow what speaks to your heart. Follow your heart. Don't worry about anything else. Don't worry about belonging, because you don't belong to the human realm. You belong to God. You belong to the divine consciousness. You belong to the reality. You don't belong to the relative realm. Don't worry about how they feel about you, or what they think about you, or any regrets. No. Just follow your heart. Let's see if I have. It seems to me the group is interested in keeping the position of seeker and student. A teacher is never interested in maintaining the student. The teacher, if is speaking relatively, recognizes in the student the living self, and it's just pointing to it. That's all what the teacher does. It points to the reality that you are, that I am. It's a universal reality, reality of consciousness. Just points to it. Over and over in different ways, points to it like this and like that. And in little bits and pieces, the student realizes, gets the understanding. The student is not getting the understanding from the teacher. Understanding is always within oneself. You see? The teacher, you could say, is like a catalyst. Yeah, just with a stick, sort of pokes you a little bit, and then you get to your own understanding. So there isn't an interest in a teacher or in any serious spiritual person to maintain a position, any position of seeker student. Yes, and I spoke that there is no hierarchy in intimacy. Intimacy is the wholeness of being. Yes, the student and the teacher dissolve into the wholeness as one. Yes. Okay, Zoe. I hope I answered your question. If not, you can of course bring it up again in whichever way you want. Okay. Hello, Holly. Hello. Okay, Holly, you're right. Nice to see you too, Holly. You're right. I feel that my life is for awakening, for God to meet herself. Very beautiful. That's really, you got it. You got it, Holly. Yes. However, if that were really true, wouldn't my actions reflect it more, such as spending more time in inquiry? Yes, I would say that often we have old habits, and so in our contemplation, slowly we adjust ourselves. We remind ourselves of what really matters. And inquiry can also take place in your life, Holly. It can, of course, be coming to satsang, especially like you have the opportunity because we meet here regularly in person, which is really the best way. It's like coming to the spring and you drink the fresh water and then you can enjoy being hydrated, for hours and hours. Satsang revives your inquiry and also gives you certain hints, certain tools to conduct your inquiry. But your inquiry can take place wherever you are, because wherever you are, the self is, the I am is. And you can, at any moment in your life, whatever you are doing, you can contemplate, what am I truly? What am I truly? As soon as you turn your attention to this question, Holly, you are contemplating the self. Because what you truly are is the self. It's consciousness, it's this infinite, invisible presence, the light of being. So yes, we sometimes get distracted by things in the world, by objects, by forms, and we sometimes put God on the back burner. I think it's good to be watchful of that. Yes. To continue with your question, I guess what I'm asking is, if I may be deluding myself, if I actually don't want it as much as I claim. It's a good question to yourself. You can only know that. That's a good question to pose yourself. Because, Holly, if you are in satsang, which I know you are, there is a love for truth in your heart. Some people come to satsang for various reasons. Often people come because they have a little personal crisis. They come once or twice and then they feel better, their crisis passes and they go back to their life until the next crisis arises. And then maybe they come to satsang again or they go to psychotherapy. But when you come regularly to satsang, like as you do, that is an indication of a deeper interest. It's not just about some temporary crisis or situation in your life. You are probing, you're posing, you are in inquiry. But yet it is a good question to ask oneself, what is it that I love truly? What is the expression? Am I putting my mouth? What is the expression, Ananda, am I putting my actions where my mouth is or something like that? You have to walk
I think you put your money where your mouth is.
Oh, yes.
I don't know, it's kind of a lame one, but
yes. Am I putting my money where my mouth is? Am I walking the walk, not just talking the talk? So you have to look at that, Holly, and as much as possible, because it's very, very important to live your understanding. And if your understanding is the contemplation of the self is important, then you live contemplating the self in everything you do. If your understanding is I am consciousness. What is this consciousness? What's its form, shape, size? What is its quality? Then you live with that living question. You live as that. Or if you realize that consciousness is wholeness, has no borders, then you live as that. You live as that borderless presence. So as you live, your understanding is very, very powerful. You say, on the other hand, I suspect this is a line of thought that I'm using to beat myself up, as with other ways that doubt has cropped up before. Yes, that's very, very good question. Your entire question is really, really beautiful, honey. Now, I would like to say that don't complicate it so much. Don't complicate it so much. We judge ourselves. Sometimes we judge ourselves. We like to keep score of ourselves. We put ourselves down, then we put ourselves up. And all of that is, of course, it's just mind stuff. It's mind stuff. Yeah, just keep it simple. From my interactions with you, I know that you are a truth lover, and at times there are some self-doubt. It's okay. Continue to look beyond the mind, meaning, that conversation, those thoughts that arise. Okay, they say some things. Return to presence, to the stillness, the reality right now that perceives these words, the reality that perceives this perception is the stillness of being. Jean Klein used to speak about the absence. It's an absence. Return to your absence. It's there, 24/7. It's there. You don't need to figure out answers to these questions that we just went into. You don't need to figure it out. You can just come back to the self any time that you recollect presence. Go to it. Any time that you recollect satsang, go to the stillness. Go to the presence. The peace. The invisible self. The infinite. Invisible self. The reality of being. And that's not a thought. It's a resting in being, resting as being. It's a totally different thing from resting as mind. Actually, it's a contradiction to say resting as mind. There is no such thing as resting as mind. Resting is always as the stillness of being, as the indivisible infinite self. Mind separates. It creates a me, a separate entity out of the wholeness. It takes a separate entity out of the wholeness of God, out of the universal self. And as soon as it does that, there is a sense of separation. And then the mind spins How can I return to the wholeness? The wholeness of being is your true self. And it's available 24/7 whenever you turn your attention to it. Okay, Holly, thank you for your question. So if there is any other question. Hello, Ananda.
Hello. Hello.
So
There's a
Ananda,
question. I didn't finish typing it, but there's a question connected.
Okay, you want to finish typing it?
No, go ahead and read it, and then I'll
Okay.
fill in the rest.
Okay, so you're right. I like walking the talk. Okay, reminds me of the yoga that John Klein taught. Here is a question. I find I have a preference for a certain type of encouragement. It's the kind that expresses an appreciation of myself and the celebration of my getting that to whatever degree I do.
And then, okay, so here's the question.
Yes.
When it comes to being poked a little bit with the stick, I tend to have a different response. And I wonder about that. It's like, as a truth lover, as you say, as you call it, it seems like I might equally like the gentle approach and the poke. If a poke,
Yes.
and it's like, what are you talking about? You're just in your mind, or something like that. That would still be useful, and could return the truth lover directly to the,
Mm-hmm.
to the Satchitananda, basically.
Yes.
And yet I find such a preference for the sweetness.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
And I found some teachers who basically prefer the pokey method.
Uh-huh. Okay. So let me just share with you the following, that the teaching always comes from God. Mm-hmm. It always comes from the self. The teacher that has a personal let's say a tendency to be on one end of the spectrum, mm-hmm. and does not have the nuances, mm-hmm. There are limitations to that way of teaching, because
I'm thinking so, yeah.
The students are many, and they come with many different questions depending on where they're at in their experience, in their journey, what's happening for them right now. And so there isn't one style of teaching. Of course, every teacher has their own personality, there's certain tone, there's certain gestures, intonations, there's certain expressions that they feel themselves drawn to. But you will find that if you stay long enough with the teacher, that also changes, because the teacher is the self, and the self is complete freedom, and so it takes on. It can be very surprising how it changes and shifts. But the point I wanted to make is that the teaching is always from God, and the teaching comes very gentle. Initially, It is very gentle. But when we don't listen to the teaching, when we don't hear or we don't accept God's invitation, I'm just using metaphor, okay? God gets offended. Okay, that's wrong. That's not a good metaphor. Let me use another one.
Maybe he digs an elephant pit and you're walking along a path.
Wait, what was that? What?
You know an elephant pit that they dig?
Yes, elephant pit.
The elephant falls in. That's the only way to catch the giant elephant. You know.
Oh, okay. Yes,
like
yes, I see. Okay, I got it. Okay. Yeah, I got it. So it's like that. Yes, when you don't receive, when you receive the invitation and you put the invitation on the back burner, then God pokes you. God pokes you. Right? It's life pokes you. Let's say we say, you know how life is a teacher. When that's a good expression, but the actual is really consciousness that is calling you back to itself. Now, from that perspective, everybody gets the gentle message that, hey, you are the self, you know, come to me. But we love our separation. We love our senses. We love to pursue images and objects and forms. If you look, you know, around you, you will find that this is actually how majority of the world, people are living, pursuing experiences, pursuing objects, pursuing money, pursuing sensations, etc.
Or wanting to be special. One that occurs to me, a big one.
Pursuing images, yes, self-images, yes. So the more we continue these pursuits, the harder, the stronger the pinch will be.
Oh, right.
But the more we listen and we open ourselves to what is unfolding for us, and we, rather than struggling with it, we just are there in presence. Say, okay, whatever it is, whatever the message is, I am here to receive it. So rarely do we have this humility of just, I'm here to receive it, to understand it, let it soak through me, whichever way it soaks. So rarely. Most often we are arguing. We want it this way or that way. We have this tendency to want things our way. We have some ideas about how we want things. There's no humility in that. What sort of sensitivity is there? What sort of heart is there in this sort of struggling and arguing? We just want the happy, pleasurable things. We don't want anything painful. And it's okay if somebody else is experiencing the pain as long as it's not happening to me. What sort of humility is that? So now, that's one thing I wanted to share with you. Now, in terms of teachers, there are all sorts of teachers and people who are teaching from different levels of understanding or misunderstanding. And, you know, sometimes we find ourselves pitching our tent, and then it's rainy and muddy, and at some point in time we decide to move our tent to different ground.
Right.
Okay. But it's good to be drawn to the soft, gentle teaching, because that means that you will get the soft, gentle message rather than the...
Oh, you mean because of being somewhat pliable and receptive?
Yes.
I don't know if I told you this story, but when I was with John Klein, I would talk about, maybe go on too much about relationship issues and things like that, because they were so important to me at the same time as I saw where he was coming from. Both happening at the same time. So one time he said, I'm a patient man, but if you ask this kind of question, I'm not going to answer. And that was such a shock to me because he was such a gentle person.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, I mean, and it made perfect sense in the context that he said it to.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
In fact, maybe it really gave me
Mm-hmm.
a turn towards not
Yes.
being so fascinated with those issues.
Yes. Sometimes a direct response like that is just what does it. That's what's needed.
Yeah. Well, thanks. That was a great answer.
Okay, Ananda.
Thanks. Well, actually, unless something else came up, did it?
Different strokes for different folks. Okay, Neelam. Yes. Yes.
I just wanted to follow that up and say, sometimes in comments on Facebook, for example,
Mm-hmm.
things can be said. You know, it's quick. It's a few words, and sometimes seems very open to interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
So on occasion, you've responded to or commented on something that I've said on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
I think, am I being chastised or am I being? I don't know. I don't know what it's saying. Really, sometimes it's not clear. And I don't know what to ask about that, but it was kind of.
Okay. Let me just say that you're never being chastised.
Well, oh, really? Well,
I mean, you may chastise yourself, but you're not being chastised from the side.
well, sometimes I'll express something that I think, oh my gosh, this is such a beautiful expression of thing. A point. I think that I have done a beautiful and poetic expression of something, and then you'll say something very absolute sounding that's sort of like, and here's how I take it sometimes is, don't waste your time being poetic and sort of schmaltzy. get to the reality of the self, something like along those lines.
No, and the poetry is really beautiful, but keep in mind that poetry flows through you from beyond. It flows through you from the mystery of being, from the beauty of being, from the infinity of being. It flows right through you. The poet never takes pride in its poetry. The poet dies in their poetry, and poetry, at least the poetry that resonates, that has this divine quality, isn't my poetry. It's flowing through me from God, from beyond. And it's very beautiful to when it's flowing, through you, when you are walking in nature, or when you're sitting at home and it flows through you and you feel like sharing it. It's really beautiful.
There's a hint there of what you just said, is that it does feel like it comes through, but then once I've put it for somebody else to read and share, then I start to feel like some of my, it's my face, and I want a nice reaction, something like that.
Yes. So this is a good opportunity to be looking at that, because when a certain situation triggers this sense of me, am I being loved, or how am I being judged, how am I being received? And of course, we're always doing that to ourselves. It's all an internal process.
Right.
It's an opportunity to to see and to feel and to experience the grit of that, the sense of, there's a slight sense of unhappiness around that. There is,
Yeah, like little stones in the shoe.
yes, that's what you need to experience, and then you can, you may come to understand that whenever you're perceiving yourself as an object, as a person, a good person, a bad person, a better person, an improving person, a loved person, a hated person, whenever you perceive yourself as a person, there is going to be a pebble in the stone. You have to look at that and see if it's true. I'm just sharing with you that most likely you will notice that. And then it will bring you to, it will sober you up. You will realize, hey, I could just simply be still. And it's not about fixing anything, because whatever we're trying to fix, we have and we have a personal intention, and the personal intention belongs to a person. It does not belong to consciousness. Consciousness has no personal intention. Consciousness has no past. There is no past for consciousness. There is just the radiance of the self. But for the human being, there is a past and a future. Oh my God, what did I do? Why did I write that? Why did I say that? We're just doing it to ourselves. Consciousness is pure bliss and stillness, and you are consciousness.
Right.
So it is possible at any moment when certain situations arise that trigger this sort of stuff, for you to just notice that, be still, and that's it. Just be still, and not be still in order to. Just be still. Just.
As you put it recently, something like be still and let vasanas dissipate.
Yes.
Because that's what's there. You know, that's what's.
Yes. But you can also notice how when we are identified as a person, then a lot of stuff becomes sticky. It sticks to us, and it's like we're ruminating over stuff. We just carry it, chewing on it, and you can notice it. And it's completely. It's like we're chewing on ourselves. You know, it's
right.
There is nothing in it.
And there's nothing really there, except that activity and the pain of it.
Yes. And
well, sometimes go ahead. I'm sorry.
The piece is always there. The piece is always there.
Well, your work, because I know something about your work. You know, you have a crew and they have their own lives and they have all their concerns, and then something happens. You know, the wrong wall is knocked down, or something. How do you not be personal? I mean, so now consciousness is dealing with a very relative issue, you know.
Yes. Well, you cannot fake it. The only way to be in your life as consciousness is to come to the understanding of what you truly are. Everything flows from that. It's not how do you do this and how do you do that and say, oh, I do this, I do it this way, that. It's the contemplation is only the contemplation of the self, the contemplation of the reality. What is it that is real? Is it what appears? The body appears, the mind appears. Is that what is real? Or is the reality consciousness that does not appear? And yet, it is undeniable. Consciousness, awareness is undeniable. What is it that I am? What is the reality of I am that the teachers and the sages speak about? What is the I am? What is it? Something that appears? Or is it? Everything flows from that ananda. So your question cannot be answered at the mind. I could tell you this and that. It's not that way.
Yeah, and your answer makes perfect sense to me. What you're saying makes perfect. Is it really, now that I consider it, it's like about the only answer that you could have. It's not that you're saying, I sit back and, whatever, take a deep breath or call my brother.
Yes. But, having said that, Ananda, I think until it's effortless, let's say, it makes sense to pause for a minute and to give yourself that little second, of who is this other that's in front of me that built the wrong wall, or they did the wrong thing. Are they a separate person, or are they my very self? What is their reality? And because you've been contemplating for so many years, you can quickly come to the understanding, wait a minute, it's that one consciousness. It's God's doing. I don't choose my thoughts. It's God's choosing. You can take just that moment, and it's sort of like hitting the reset button. It's sort of may. So you find your own ways, but until it is effortless, you can apply and live the teaching, and it's always very, very important. I know I say that in many of the gatherings. It's very important to live according to your highest understanding. But don't judge yourself if you fail at it. It's not about succeeding or failing.
I see.
It is about an interest in living according to God's teaching that comes to us, and that as we live it, it's part of the ripening process. It's part of the maturing process, is to live it, to do our best, do our best in living it as best we can.
One thing that's come up for me, like my whole life, really, since I've been contemplating all this type of thing, is sometimes my work will get me, I'll be exhausted, basically, to a point that my nerves are not, I just need rest. Rest is the only, on that level, it seems like that's the only answer. So recently I backed away from my music group, which I love so much, called Atmana. It's the kirtan, basically. But it's on one of my few days off. I have to drive all the way across town, Santa Rosa, at the busiest time, to go and have this lovely experience of playing for a nice long rehearsal. So you'd think it seems to be worth the drive. And then I have to drive back again, and I feel that encountering all that traffic, because I do a lot of driving in the traffic when I work, is too much. So I think consciousness doesn't get overloaded and need rest and relaxation.
Yes, but at the same time,
and yet the body does, maybe.
Well, God is not complicated. God is easy. It's abundance. It's available to you right there. Whatever you wish for, whatever speaks to your heart, comes to you directly, right there, easy, simple, not complicated. Whatever has complication in it, whatever has exhaustion for the body or is not the path. Now, when I say complication, it is how you are experiencing it. Because some people love to go into the water and swim for 2 or 3 hours, and for them it's just Others, they swim for 15 minutes and they're happy to lay down on the sand and sunbathe or contemplate the waves and or the ocean.
Just do enough so I can tell people I went swimming. But anyway.
So, yes, so it's just as you got what I said, yes?
Yeah, except the one thing, so there are different options. One is, work less. I think last time we talked, you said, well, can you work a day less so that you are more relaxed?
Mm-hmm.
And I realized been doing a lot of traveling, and I'm going to Rupert Spira's retreat in so these costs. And so then when I'm not doing those things, I'm working extra.
Yes.
So in a sense, I've made the decision, instead of just having a real simple, easygoing life without those adventures, then I could work a couple days a week and I would probably do okay. Instead, I'm accruing bigger expenses and then working hard in between.
I think it's a good move to work harder and to raise the money that you need to go to Rupert Spira's retreat.
Okay.
By the way, say hello to Rupert from my part.
Okay.
It's a good way of exerting some effort. Some people exert a lot of effort to have one more centimeter of muscles here and there. But if you work a little harder to raise the money for Rupert's retreat, it's a good investment of your time. But yes, you have to follow. Listen. There are points in our life where we have a lot of drive, and there are other points in our life where we are more. It's more a time for us to contemplate and to enjoy and to celebrate and. Everything is provided from consciousness, okay? It's not provided by man's effort.
And it's a very sort of common psychological, thing to say, but it seems to be true. Change does happen, and the change is not. Change tends to sound like a disaster. Or make me, you know what I mean? Like, last year I was...
I'm not talking about change. I'm talking about happiness, abundance, good fortune, ease of being. All of that comes from God. It does not come from mankind.
Right. I guess what I meant was that in a relatively in a life, things happen with like the hurricanes and fires and everything. Let alone,
but hopefully sweet things will happen. I'm talking about sweet things happening. Hurricanes won't. Let's just leave it as that. I'm talking about the grace and the whatever you desire in the depth of your heart comes from consciousness. All you need to do is acknowledge consciousness, live as consciousness, honor consciousness.
Yeah,
and not your mind, and not the mind, because the mind is a racehorse.
Oh yeah.
It's a completely conditioned machine, and it is contaminated with the virus of separation. It does not have the clarity.
Yes.
Clarity belongs to God, to the self, to presence, to beingness.
That's right.
Everything
I think you said
flows from the source.
Yeah. You said earlier to someone, there is no real peace of mind. That's a misnomer. There's no peace for the mind.
Right.
And it's not where you find it. But from the self, okay, I will. I like that. I like that because otherwise, it seems like things get jammed up. How's the music going to work out while I'm also doing this? And and if I just
rest as being, Rest as universal being. Allow yourself to rest in the arms of the divine. Give yourself that opportunity.
Right. You know, it was one of those really great philosophers. I think it was Socrates says, "Beware of the destitute, busy life." Something like that.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Leave. Okay. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed talking with you.
Yes, Ananda. Nice to talk to you and see you soon.
Thanks.
Yes. Hello, Renate. Renate, you're right. I like this encouragement. Live up to your highest aspiration and do the best you can. I will take up this challenge. Yeah. You're welcome, Renate. Yes. It's not a challenge. It's just you will find that it's easier than we think it is. But yes, enjoy. Yes. Hello, Renate.
Hi. To me, it's a challenge because I like to read my novel and stuff like this.
Yes.
And,
you know,
and I kind of drift away a bit.
it's okay. You can do that. You can enjoy your novel. You can enjoy drifting away. That's good. No, when I say live to your highest aspiration, to your highest understanding, and the understanding has to do with what am I truly. You know, the understanding of what is the reality, what is it that's really real, what is it that's really has significance, what really is of value. And in your contemplation, you will find that the value is not in what we experience. We can enjoy what we experience. We can enjoy reading a novel, going for a walk, having a glass of wine, a chat with some friends, etc. We can enjoy that. That's perfect. But we can enjoy that knowing ourselves to be consciousness, knowing ourselves to be the freedom. But often we engage in these activities because we feel that these activities is what give us the happiness. It's a different thing from experiencing reading a novel or whatever you enjoy as a celebration of being. It's the celebration of your freedom, the freedom of consciousness. And not that, what am I going to do with my life? Oh, well, I'm going to read a book. I enjoy reading a book. And now I finish reading a book. What am I going to do now? Oh, now I need to do this and do that. Oh, and what's next? And oh, what's going to happen to me tomorrow? That's not the happy way. The happy way is to recognize your freedom as consciousness, to recognize your freedom, and to celebrate your freedom in everything, even the freedom to experience pain as the body experiences pain, or experiences hunger when the body experiences hunger. You celebrate. There is a celebration in everything when you are in your freedom. But when you are the body-mind, then everything that's happening to the body-mind, I pray to God, I hope it's going to be something good. Oh my God, I hope it's something good. You see? Because I am the body-mind, and so I better make sure this body-mind, something good happens to it. I hope it doesn't age. I hope it doesn't get sick. I hope it doesn't run out of money. I hope it doesn't, etc., 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 etc. You know, the body is it's impossible. You are really setting yourself up for, at some point in time, sooner or later, some disappointment, because that body mind is gonna, you find, oh my God, I'm starting to forget. You say, even the mind starts to become more porous. Your vision starts to go, etc., etc. Of the body. So when I say celebrate and live according to your highest understanding, I am not saying to ignore life and to become, just 24/7. I am, chanting mantras and repeating, no. The contemplation of what I am is a love affair. You can have a love affair with God, a love affair with truth, a love affair with reality, and celebrate the waking dream. I know where my heart is. My heart is contemplating that infinite presence. It's so beautiful. It's effortless. It's right there. It's right there. Right. Look at right now. This oneness, this with sharing, this oneness, this is magic. There is nothing that limits consciousness. It's just amazing. Here you are, as I as you. This very moment, isn't it amazing? It's really amazing. It is magical. It's right there. It's presenting itself. It's always in its nakedness. It tells you, here I am, indivisible, infinite, present. Presence, and that's the reality. And we can enjoy talking together, satsang, or if you lived close by, we'd get together, we'd play Scrabble, or we'd have a glass of wine, or we go for a stroll. Who knows? You see?
Yeah.
But it's a celebration. So enjoy everything that you enjoy in life. Enjoy, celebrate the joy, the happiness, the beauty, the love, the bliss, the freedom. And it is not possible to celebrate this freedom when you are identified as a body mind. Because
when what?
When you're identified as a body mind, when you're identified as a body mind, that identification is like putting a stick in the wheels of happiness. The wheel of happiness, you put a stick, the wheel's gonna stop. Because you separate yourself. You become, oh, I am here and you are there. Oh, hello, I'm Magdi. Who are you? Okay, you are Ornate. Self-judgment. What does she think of me? What does he think of me? It's all me, the person, the body, mind. But consciousness is complete intimacy, complete beauty, complete freedom, complete beingness. And it's effortless, and it's there to be celebrated. It's always there to be celebrated. And celebrate it. Celebrate it. It's a celebration.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yes, it's so very lovely to see you. Very nice.
Good to see you too. And I'm off to bed now. It's late.
Okay. Good rest. Enjoy your sleep. Yes.
See you again.
Okay. Oh, hello, Zoe. I see that you are here. I answered your question earlier. I don't know if you're here, but you can hear it later in the recording. So is there any other question? Okay, well, it's very lovely to see you all and to be with you. Thank you for your lovely, company and your friendship. And now I'm back. Most likely we'll have a satsang next Thursday. I will announce it. Okay, namaste.
Bye.